We're joined by Edmund Fitton-Brown. He's the former British ambassador to Yemen and now a senior analyst at the Foundation for Defence of Democracy. Welcome to the programme, Edmund. Good to see you as always. So tell us, first of all, about these two groups. The Houthis, I mean, tend to get all the headlines, don't they? But who are these two groups and why have they started fighting now?
So in Hadramaut, you've got a sort of rivalry that exists amongst different factions that are aligned with the internationally recognized government of Yemen. And, this is problematic in terms of the future of Yemen. You have, on the one hand, a very strong southern separatist impulse. And you will remember that Yemen was divided into two countries, North and South Yemen, up until 1990. So southern separatism is quite strong in Yemen. Hadramaut, the province that you're talking about, is in the south. But the people of Hadramaut are not that enthusiastic necessarily about seceding and being ruled from Aden in the south. They themselves have ambitions to control their own future. And then, of course, you have federalist impulses as well within the anti-Houthi alliance. So you have the al-Islah party, for example, which is the Yemeni manifestation of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a party to the internationally recognized government of Yemen, but would believe in a united Yemen, which would be governed in the long term from Sana'a. So in a sense, you've got three different impulses all in collision with each other.
And what is the impact of this latest round of fighting on the Houthis? A lot of people will be wondering, does this weaken or strengthen the Houthis?
Well, it certainly strengthens the Houthis. I mean, unfortunately, given that there is, an international desire to contain the Houthis, if all of the Yemeni factions that are fighting against them are fractured, then obviously it strengthens the Houthi position.
What about the regional picture then? Because we know there are multiple actors inside Yemen. Is this a sign that Saudi Arabia and the UAE have kind of lost control of these Yemeni groups that they support, though not necessarily control?
It's a really good question. It's a complicated picture. As you know, the Saudis and the Emiratis have a very close alliance with each other. And I would never expect Saudi Arabia and the UAE to fall out badly over this. But the fact is that they have favored different proxies in Yemen. And the Emiratis are well known for their aversion to the Muslim Brotherhood, and therefore a very strong aversion to al-Islah, which I mentioned, which is the Yemeni version of the Muslim Brotherhood. And so the Emiratis have backed the Southern Transitional Council, the Southern Separatist forces. And those forces, although they are technically in alliance with the internationally recognized government and with al-Islah party, because they're maneuvering for long-term independence for the south of Yemen, they're very happy to accept Emirati help when it helps them to strengthen their tactical position.
And this is not a new idea, is it? South Yemen was an independent entity in the past. Might we see Yemen, as it is today, break up along sectarian lines?
So there is a risk of that. As you say, it's a long-established historical reality that there was a North and a South Yemen. And of course, the Houthis, who have really dominated the bulk of the population of Yemen now for the last decade, and they control the national capital, Sana'a. They are a northern force. They come from the far north of Yemen. And so their brutality and their illegal coup taking over significant parts of the country has alienated the Southerners. The Southerners are very anti-Houthi. The Southerners tend to be Sunni Muslims, whereas the Houthis are a Zaydi revivalist cult. And that's a little bit, they're not exactly Shia, but they're Shia adjacent. So that means that separatism in the south has grown stronger because of the civil war with the Houthis. But your question is whether Yemen could actually break up on sectarian lines. And that is really problematic because usually I think when you fragment a state, and you can look across the water to Somalia for more evidence of this, fragmenting doesn't lead to a neat division in two again. There's no reason to think...
Sudan is another example.
and Sudan's another good example. There's no reason to think you could simply re-establish the old historical boundary between North and South Yemen. I'm afraid you would end up with more or less perpetual civil war.
So in your mind, would it be better for Yemen to keep its territorial integrity and for there to be more of an international effort to defeat the Houthis?
Yes, that is my view. I mean, Yemen would require a very high degree of decentralization. You're going to have to give provinces a lot of autonomy. But a model of that kind, which is ultimately headquartered in Sana'a, but without being completely dominated by Sana'a and dominated by the north, I think is the more stable outcome. One of the things that's going on at the moment, of course, is this sort of tug of war for the oil resources in Hadramaut. Yemen doesn't have much in the way of natural resources, but it does have these oil installations in Hadramaut. And everybody wants to control those because that's one of the most valuable national resources.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story and indeed a fascinating country. Edmund, thank you very much indeed. Edmund Fitton-Brown there from the FT Group.